I think the key thing from what we were just talking about is that idea of when you go into the room and it's an audition, it's your chance to just own it for yourself and not to
Yeah,
sort of
man.
go in thinking like you owe anybody anything, feeling like you have to live up to someone's standards. Obviously, you've been on the other side. You made that really, in my opinion, bold choice to get experience of working in a casting office, and I think that probably gave you a lot of insight that
Oh,
many people don't get.
definitely.
So you've seen it on the other side. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I guess, firstly, how did that experience change your perception of the audition process as an actor? And then, I guess, secondly, to double barrel it, what advice would you give to actors who are going into the room, especially new, they've not auditioned much, with your knowledge of that in mind, given that you're one of us as an actor too?
Yeah, for sure. That's great. I think I'll come on to the advice for actors second, as
Mhm.
per the question. The perception thing. So yeah, man. Do you know what? Like, I gotta say though, I don't know whether sometimes I feel like it might be a double-edged sword because I might be too relaxed about how casting works when I go and audition for a role myself these days. I'm like, yeah, there's so many numbers to get through, but it's also like, it is valuable to know. The thing is, casting moves so quickly and things change at any moment. Like something could be shooting tomorrow and something changes tonight. Like literally, that's how, especially in the world of TV, I've learned more than film.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean to say that film doesn't change that quickly either. So, but then also, and especially, look, I'm going to say a little bit more about TV because I've experienced a bit more of what that world is lately. I think film is definitely more relaxed than TV. There's more time. The fact of like, locking actors in, they can be locked in quite long before. So, and that can be fine. If you're looking at studios, then there's more execs to deal with. So what happens when there's more execs to deal with is that there's more decision makers and they may have different opinions about what they think they need in the production in order for the production to be successful. So let's talk on the subjects of like, even in diversity, they could decide that we've got too much of this and we need a bit more of that. Rightly so we need to balance stuff out. That can actually change at any point throughout the casting process. That's one thing I've experienced before.
Mhm.
The other thing is like some people have different kind of perception about acting, like about types of acting and what it should be, and that doesn't mean that anyone's a bad actor. Like it's art is so subjective. Like someone who's the money will have a different perception about what acting is over a director, but sometimes those things clash. Can't do anything about that, right? And it depends on the scale of the director, like, how big the director is, how much they've done, as to whether they can overpower an exec. There's
Mhm.
all these different moving parts
It's all a
going on.
game of opinions, really, right? It's all
Just a game
just.
of opinions. Yeah. And then, but like, also, the thing is like, obviously, from what we've been talking about, is that, and from me being a reader in a casting room, is that if you come in with not owning it, you can be nervous, but if you're not owning it, it's red in 2 seconds flat. If you're not really and by that I mean just coming in, and even if you might be feeling a little bit kind of like GB, whatever it is, and just come in with that, but if you're not on that track of like going, hey, yeah, I've got something here, and I'm just gonna give it to you. If you don't do that, then just like, well, that can be a very quick cross off, and like, hey, that's.
But I think, a lot of times an actor might come into a room, especially early on, and they're worried about this idea of having to please and be perfect. And we've spoken how that's not the way to go, but that maybe doesn't happen overnight. That comes over time. And I think there is a lot of preciousness around thinking that you've got to be word perfect, or if you say a word wrong, or you forget a line, or you flub something, you feel like you fucked it, and I think sometimes an actor might shoot themselves in the foot if that happens in the room. I suppose, what's your take on that sort of stuff? How much of that really weighs into it, or how much of it do you not really bother about it too much if you see the actor is just able to be calm with it and move through?
Just fucking go for it. I don't think there's any other formula other than like just there is no formula. You like
Mm.
look. The thing is, I mean, I guess what I've learned in the States though, there's a lot more niches in terms of genre and specific genre, and how, for example, multicam comedies are written, there's certain wording and you have to get right that right is written in order to execute a joke.
Sure.
Not that you can't, like, not that you're just thinking of that. You still have to be very kind of full forward with committing to what it is you're bringing. But look, I mean, look, man, just either way, when it comes to crunch time, you just got to go. Like you can't like second guess yourself once you get to that point. Even if you feel slightly prepared, so what? That's the fucking thing. Just go anyway. Bring it to the table, fly, let it be. Don't worry about it. Because that's just going to throw you off if you come in with any of that stuff. So
I mean, and how does someone do that? How does someone might watch or listen to this if they've not cut off with that little sort of mishap we had earlier and they're still listening. It's good advice, but if I'm on the other side of that, I'm thinking, cool, but how do I implement that? Like, how do I do that?
Practice. Like, like, God, if you don't have an acting class to go to, just keep getting in front. My God, like, just get your iPhone, just get in front of a blank wall, set up, like, get an iPhone little tripod thing, or just stack it on a bunch of books if you can't get that, whatever. Get somebody who is interested in acting or already is an actor in your circle, and just keep doing, like, find sides, ask people auditioning for sides, go online, go to, I think scriptnotes.com is another place you can just get sides from. Look for, transcribe a scene from one of your favorite TV shows or films, put that down, practice those like 2 to 3 pages, maybe that huge Oscar-winning speech you're scared to try and execute for fun. Do that. Do everything that you can to implement the practice. The more that you practice, the less you're going to have this kind of like feeling of like, I can't do it. There's that famous quote of like, you either can or you can't. You're right, or whatever it is.
Yeah, either way, you're right.
You know what I mean?
That's sort of an interesting thing you sort of maybe stumbled on when you were saying that was, you said go to class, and then you said, well, practice auditioning. And I think that's a key distinction, right? Because maybe doing a class, the scene study is maybe it's still the same tools, but a slightly different tool set to say auditioning. I think the approach to an audition and what you do in an audition room is very different in many ways to what you do on an actual set when you've actually booked the job. It almost asks different things of you as a person, maybe not so much as a performer, but as a person, and the mindset and the doubts that come into your head from the audition are very different to what might happen when you book the job. Not to say they don't happen there as well. And yeah, I think your point of practice and maybe self-tapes and sort of practicing that as a discipline is important. Or if you're in the States, I guess there are lots of audition classes that people can take too, because it is a different skill. Would you agree with that? Or
I mean, like, yeah, this is
yes
what
or
I
no?
do. This is what I do think. What I think is people just need to understand what a camera sees. One, right? They always putting yourself in front of a camera and looking back at the footage will start to tell you that, right? Oh, what else? And really just ask the questions. What is this person telling me right now? Disconnect yourself from like it being you and just look at yourself objectively and see what's this person telling me in the story. So you start to like just get used to the fact that like you have a technical thing of you in front of a camera and what that frame does. How wide or close can it go? Start to get interested and curious about what it is cameras see, right? Because once you got like the one thing that I learned early on when I was still part of the Actors Temple way back when, and we did a film course and made our own film off the bat, which is when me and my friend decided to go make a film in India. Maybe we'll talk about that a different time. Mm-hmm. But we certainly should. And then what I learned very quickly there is that the more I did that, it just became a part of me. It's like driving. Like the technical points of being on camera just got inset in me, right? So I think it's just really just putting yourself in that environment as much as possible in order to understand it. will help you disconnect from the fact that you're in it. Now that sounds counterintuitive to being connected, but you need to disconnect from the fact that you're in a small box room with the camera pointing at you, right? That's what you need to forget about. What Scene Study does and Scene Class does with all that, plus with some audition classes, still teach you how to walk in that space and really fucking own it. Right. So I think it's that really. It's just, for me, it's like the camera stuff, the audition technique really for me is just understanding what a camera does in that room.
Mm-hmm.
So that you like, it's you've done it so many times that it's just second nature. It's just in the back of the mind. It's unconscious that just happens. Like, I know what this frame is doing right now. And I'm not thinking about it. To pairing it with, I fucking got this, and I know the story. I know what to bring to it. I know what value I'm bringing to this room. We're gonna have a lot of fun together.
And then I guess, like you were saying before, from your experience in the casting process, having that wherewithal that after all that, it still isn't in your hands, because a zillion other factors and opinions come into play of other people beyond just the casting person you met that day. And I think once you get a grounding of that side of the business and how that actually operates, you realize that it's just a game of permutations and numbers and just continually doing it, and playing the game, I guess, and finding peace in that. Otherwise, you'll drive yourself nuts.
Yeah, I feel like Bryan Cranston's got an amazing book called Life in Parts that everybody who is looking to, be an actor should read, and people who are just interested in life should read too. But what he did with his audition sites is, as soon as he did his audition sites, he had a little sides bin in his office or something, or somewhere in his house, that he would, after he's done the audition, he'd come back, take the sides, and he'd shove them in the bin. That was his process of letting go of it. Like, that moment's over now. And then when he'd get a call back, he'd pull it out of the bin and go, oh yeah, I remember this guy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know what I'm doing with this. But even that action of just, it's gone. Like, we have to have that, because nothing ever just gravitates towards you if you're trying to squeeze it. You know what I mean? Like, things don't like being squeezed. I think it literally. All right. Yeah. Here we go. It was going to pop up somewhere. This dark sense of humor.
I've not said anything. Let's keep going. It's a PG.
No, you just made a face. For those listening on the podcast, try and find the video. Just watch his face and whatever. You can give him a time code later, Ash.
It's fine. My YouTube show is not for kids. I have to select that button now. So
yeah.
It's all good.
I love how they have that as an option. It's good. Yeah. So just whatever.
Throw it away.
Just throw it away. Like once it's done, it's done. Same with everything. We have to apply that to a lot of things in life too, I feel,
Exactly.
Holding on to stuff, it just creates blah in your head and in your heart.